I welcome you back to the Domain Millionaire Income Blueprint. And this time around, we are going to be taking a look at how domain flipping business actually works. As I told you earlier on in the introductory first video, flipping domain names is an insane way of making money online that many persons in Nigeria especially are not fully aware of. They are not really aware of the income potential in this industry, since many persons, it appears, are not really into it, and even those that are into it, they are not really teaching it compared to some other business models like cryptocurrency, like forex, like freelancing and the likes, even AdSense. But when it comes to domain flipping business, there's really not many persons into it, or even if they are into it, we don't really have more trainings that dwell on flipping domain names, which is a subset of virtual real estate. And I believe so much that this video training series is really timely, especially now, as domain flipping business is actually very easy to learn and master and to make insane profit from. If, for instance, you buy something for $12, and like these domain names, you buy it for very cheap. Look at this, sold for $1.5 million, and just look at the insane amounts these are being sold. And just a virtual real estate that was recently sold in Nigeria, I think this year, a virtual asset that was sold is P-Stack, bought for a very insane price by Stripe. So the domain flipping business, the virtual real estate world, is, and I don't just know how to put it, but it is, the money that can be made from this business is so insane, and with just little investment you can actually start it up. So we are going to be looking at how this business model actually works, and it just takes 4 steps for you to actually execute this business. Well, first and foremost, what you are seeing on the screen here, we have you have to research, of course, the domain name, then buy it. Then you have to appraise the domain name, because it just entails 4 simple steps. You research and buy, you then appraise the domain name. That's check out the value, how valuable it is. You check out how valuable it is. Then you check out every bank link associated to it, the spam ratio, and we are going to be going into all this in details as we progress with the training actually. Then after the appraisal, you now actually sell off the domain name. You sell the domain name. You use platforms. There are different kinds of platforms where you actually get to sell your domain names. Then you now transfer it. After you have sold it, you now have to transfer it to the new owner. So we are going to be dwelling on all these 4 aspects. Now, for a domain flipping business to work, there need to be an end user, the person buying the domain name, and you yourself, who is the domainer. Then you have the middleman, which is the marketplace, places like GoDaddy Auctions, Sido, and of course Flipper. So these 3 entities need to be in place. Yourself, the domainer, then the end user, the person buying the domain name or the asset, the virtual asset, then the middleman, which is the marketplace itself. So these are the things that have to be in place for the domain flipping business to work out. Now, when it comes to researching domain names, you need to take some things into cognizance, because the domain names is a viable industry, and when I say viable, I mean that it is not something that it's not a hit and run business. It is not something that you say, okay, let me just do it. It is not a get rich quick means of making money online. It has been in existence for a very, very long time, for decades, from time immemorial, and it is still very, very profitable as a business model. It is not something that is going to get saturated in the long run. It is still very, very viable now, and in the future it is still going to remain very, very viable, because a lot of businesses, a lot of individuals, small businesses, big time businesses, and multinationals, they are going to be needing website assets. They are going to be needing these domain names for a whole lot of reasons, even if they already have the domain names with them, because these domain names can be used for a whole lot of things, especially themed networks, where these big brands generate backlinks for themselves for SEO juice. So this flipping business is going to is going to get even bigger and bigger and bigger as time progresses. So for you to really kickstart it, the domain selling or flipping domain names or web assets, first you need to research the domain name. You need to buy it. Now, to research domain names, you can research domain names and get trendy domain names. Like, for instance, now in this era, the cryptocurrency business and forex is really, really booming. So you can research based on trending news, what is happening at the moment. Now, to research all this, though we are still going to really, really dwell on that, you can go to places like, okay, let me leave that until we get into it. So you research the domain, then you buy it. Where do you buy these domain names? You can buy from GoDaddy, you can buy from Flipper, or you can even buy from places like Just Dropped. Maybe you take a look at it. Just Dropped. If you go to justdropped.com, you see domain names that have just been dropped, and then you will need to subscribe. And we are still going to dwell on this as we progress with the training. I just want you to get conversant with how this business really, really works. So they have aside you, the domainer and the marketplace, that's the middleman and the end users, all those things being in place, you need to research the domain that you are going to buy. Then after researching it, you buy it. Now when you buy it, or even in the process of before you make payment, you appraise the domain to be very, very sure that it is worth buying. Now, appraiser could come in two formats. You can make it very, very, we have the informal format where you do it yourself with tools like ST Boots. Then we have the formal one where platforms like GoDaddy, like Afternic, like Sido, they appraise it for you for a fixed amount. That one is not free. The informal one is free of charge. Then when you have done all these things, you now have to sell up the domain. Of course, you have to put it up in marketplaces like Flipper, like Sido. Like there are so many marketplaces. We are still going to dwell on that, on them, see how they work. You get to see the best one, the one that is better or best for selling domain names, and why. Then when you sell up these domain names, you get to transfer it to the new owner. So all these stages, we are going to really dwell on them, starting with the very first one, which is the researching of the domain names before you even buy, then go for appraiser. So this is exactly how the domain flipping business work. It is not difficult, it is not a rocket science, and the good thing is that the moment you master it, it becomes easy. Take for instance, throw a domain name at a seasoned domainer, a seasoned flipper, even without doing appraiser, even without really doing serious research, he or she can easily tell you if the domain is viable or not. So you are going to get this instinct, these skills with time as you get along with this course. So when we come back, we are going to be looking at domain flipping, how it compares with the virtual real estate business as you know of it. So once again, I will say thank you for the time, for going through the training, for picking it up. Have a great day, and see you in the next video.